أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Brother Musa, and the subject I want to talk about today is the Prophet Muhammad and his marriage with Ayesha. There are those who say that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a pedophile. He married Ayesha radiallahu anha when she was 6 years old. I believe the Prophet was 53 at the time. And a lot of people use this incident in the Prophet's life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and say that he was a pedophile. They say he was a child molester. They say he abused children. Well, let's look at this logically, because you see, the people who attack Islam, this is their problem. They lack objectivity and they lack logic. Now, in today's civilized society, in the West, they brag upon their civility. In today's civilized society, if you're going to accuse someone of a crime, they have to be within your jurisdiction. A person who is in Idaho cannot go and make an arrest. A policeman cannot arrest someone in New York City. If he's an Idaho policeman, he cannot go to New York City and arrest someone. Why? Because they're out of his jurisdiction. So jurisdiction is one thing that needs to be established before you can convict someone of a crime. Now also, there's something called an ex post facto law. In America, you cannot convict anyone of an ex post facto crime. Now the word ex post facto means, for instance, it's like this. If America was to pass a law today that bubble gum was illegal, they cannot charge you with the bubble gum that you chewed before this law was passed. Having said that, what law in 7th century Arabia did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam violate? You cannot convict a man 1,400 years ago by the laws of 2008. You have a problem here with logics. What is the logic of your argument? There are priests in America molesting little boys. There are pastors in America and all over the world molesting children. Look what happened in Chad with the Noah's Ark thing, where these Christian workers were stealing African children and using them for pornography. These were Muslim children, and these were Christians who were perpetrating this crime. The reason why you want to go back 1,400 years and leave your jurisdiction and try to convict the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by an ex post facto law is to distract the people from what you're doing today. There is no greater threat to children today than secularism and Christianity. And I'm not condemning everyone who's a secularist. I'm not condemning everyone who's a Christian. But I'm just saying, if you look at the cases like John Benet Ramsey, was it a Muslim who was a threat to this little girl? Or was it her own Christian family? If you look at the case of Maddie, the little girl in Britain, I can't remember her last name, the one they're still looking for, the one whose parents killed her. I hope I don't get sued for saying that, but the one whose parents killed her. Who was a threat? Was it a Muslim or was it her own family? If you look at all the child predators in America, you can't find one with a Muslim name. But yet you want to attack the Prophet Muhammad. You want to say Islam's a threat to children. You want to say the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a pedophile for marrying Ayesha. And the ironic nature of this is that no one denies that he was married to her. The very fact that you acknowledge it was a marriage is an acknowledgement this was accepted by the social standards of his time. So how dare you be so arrogant that you think you can go back and tell Arabs 1,400 years ago how to conduct their lives? This is why so many people are angry with the West. We must be realistic here. We're not bullies. All Americans are not bullies. We don't try to be the world police. And now we're even trying to be the history police. We're trying to police history. We're trying to go back 1,400 years and convict a man out of our jurisdiction of an ex post facto law. Is that logical? This is my challenge to anyone who accuses the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam of being a pedophile. And if you want to stick to your argument, that's fine. But just don't give me your opinion. And if you're going to give me your opinion, say it is your opinion. Don't state it as fact. Because if it is a fact, if you're going to stand on that point, that it's a fact that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a pedophile, And the word pedophile, by the way, it comes from the Greek pederast, which means boy lover, because the Greeks were known homosexuals. And the Western society bases a lot of its doctrine, on Greek pedagogy. But if you're going to accuse that man of being a pedophile, you better present the facts. Don't present your opinion and try to pass it off as fact, because this is arrogance, and this is what makes people hate the West. And all Westerners don't think like that. Westerners are very intelligent people. That's why you see Islam is the fastest growing religion in America. But if you want to convict this man of being a pedophile, show me one law that he broke in 7th century Arabia. Also, if you're going to convict him of being a pedophile on a social basis, like I said, give me a social law that he broke. Even one in 7th century Arabia. Don't bring me a law from the 21st century that's established in a Western country. The law is ex post facto and it's out of its jurisdiction, so it's irrelevant. If you're going to give me a moral law, then morality has to come from a book. Bible, Quran, the Hindu Vedas, or whatever they call it, or the Buddhist scripture. Give me from any of these sources, the Bible, the Quran, Hindu writings, Buddhist writings. Give me an age give me an age minimum for the marriage of a child. Give that to me. From any book. If you're making a moral argument, you can't build your morality on yourself. Because as we used to say in the church, your mouth is not the Bible. Your mouth is not the Quran. Your mouth is not God. Even though you think you're God, you think you're God. When you want to go back in time, like quantum leap, and get a man 1,400 years ago and try to accuse him of Western laws, you're insane. There's no logic into this. Your logic is so twisted. It's okay with you. If a man marries a man, which is unnatural, it's okay with you. That's consenting adults, you say. Ayesha radiallahu anha loved the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Islam would not be what it is today if it wasn't for Ayesha. Ayesha wrote more hadith than anyone else except Abu Bakr. And the Muslims who follow the sunnah of Allah, the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that was given to him by the merciful Lord of the worlds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it wouldn't be what it is today without Ayesha. So no matter what you say, no matter what you do, don't give me your opinion. Please, I'm begging you. Give me facts. Because Muslims, we're not as dumb as you think we are. The human race is not as dumb as you think it is. You want to force your opinion down other people's throats. But what you need to do is give us the facts. Don't give us opinions, give us the facts. That's all I ask for. Give me the law that he broke in his time. And I'm repeating myself several times because you see, people seem dense. So I want them to understand that I want a law that was broken in his time. Don't come and give me some law in some American law book in 2008. I want an Arabian law of the 7th century that was broken by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you're a Muslim and you're listening to this, I want you to circulate this tape as much as you can and get anyone to reply to me. I challenge anyone to reply. And if they make a video reply, I will address their concerns. But first I want them to address my concerns. And my concerns is that you're spreading your own opinion and you're spreading lies as facts. If the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what you say he was, then prove it. Don't just feed me rhetoric. Prove it. I'm asking for facts. And another thing, if you look today at the child molestation registries, and you can look these up on the internet, there's several websites you can go to because child molesters in the West, they have to register. And if you look at the names, you will see names like John and James. You don't see names like Muhammad. You don't see names like Ali. You don't see names like Mustafa. You see names like Bill and Rick and Henry, all Christian names. Why is it that these child molesters in America, none of them have Muslim names? What happens when the Muslims come to America? That the children are safe. The most dangerous threat to American children is American society, not Islam. Let's be realistic. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.